that he's doing that.
Possibly.
We got him.
Just tell them about it.
You're on air.
We need him back.
Okay, hold on.
Don't write on it.
Okay, my
$10 a minute.
Exactly.
Oh, that is.
Do you have this in PDF format? Do you have it in PDF format?
Yes, I believe so.
Can you just email it to us? Or to me?
Jeff and Grant.
Yeah,
I can't read it and,
well, you can just, you don't have to read it, if you just want to take a quick.
Lots of pictures.
I would like to read it.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
You guys ready?
Restoration.
Stone restoration. Yeah, you should take a peek at it.
Heather, do you want me to wait, or do you want me to just go ahead?
You don't care about me finagling here, I got a few minutes, so.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open the meeting. It's 7:01 PM, and we are at the Public Safety Complex. I almost said John Bauer Senior Center. I'm so used to saying that. So first is we have the reorganization of the board members. I want you both to know that I am not married to this chair at all.
Oh, is that on the agenda? What is that?
Number
It's
two.
great, it looks like a topic.
Must be looking at the wrong thing.
Five.
I am. That's April 26th. Give me a second.
Yep, take your time.
That's
Okay,
it.
so I'd like to make a motion to appoint you chair of the select board for another year.
For another year, you're sure about that?
I'll second that.
And here's my reason.
Okay.
You're the closest one in town. You're here in town most of the time. I'm not. Like, I'm gone 3, sometimes 4 nights a week. So it doesn't make sense for anyone else to take the chair unless Carol wants it, which I would happily appoint Carol as well. But I think getting back into the normal rotation from the COVID
Yep.
would be you. So that's my
Yep.
reason.
This would be the last year of my term. Carol,
I did
am-
second that.
I am more than happy for Carol to be.
No, it's fine.
She doesn't want to be.
No, I'm quite happy. as I am.
Okay.
Any comment from the public?
Are the microphones on up there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, can you not hear us?
Not very well.
Really?
We don't have a PA.
There's no PA, so we just have to speak up.
Like-
Or
that
you can
sounds
move forward. You're certainly welcome to move up.
So the reason that I appointed Julia was to get back into the normal rotation because I declined last time because I was new and over half my term was during COVID, and I was trying to get up to speed. It would be nice to get back into the normal rotation so that everyone knows what to expect. So there's a bit of a learning curve when you get on the board, and then there's a bit of a learning curve as you progress through, so that you're ready to accept a chair position.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Sorry, Julie.
I'm stuck with it. I was kind of hoping to give it up. All right. So next we have an update from the town committees and boards. We have the cable committee,
What about
historical.
Dyson, clerk?
Oh, I'm sorry. We should probably do that. You're absolutely right. So the next, the next thing we need to do then is appoint a vice chair or nominate a vice chair. Is there a motion for vice chair for our board?
I nominate Kirk Yules. Olds, sorry. Can't use that.
It's
Olds
okay.
As vice chair?
As vice chair.
Okay, I'll second that. Any discussion?
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I'll nominate Carol as the clerk.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Carol. All right, so now we're going to move on to town committees and boards. We have the Cable Committee, Historical Commission, and Cemetery Commission here with us tonight. First up, I have Nick, who's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on with cable.
What's going on with cable? All right, well, I got my list here. Number one, I understand that cable's going to be looking at a new PA system for this room. Is that correct?
It sounds like we might need it.
Some might need it. Anyway, we'll just move you closer. We can tell Scott, we'll move you in the middle. Anyway, so the upgrades, we got some bad news last week. Our audio mixer is back ordered to maybe May or June of next year. So we're looking at alternatives, and we voted on one on Friday. And it's a Yamaha coming in pretty much the same, saving about $800 for it, which is pretty good. So we're going to have that probably within 2 months, and that'll complete phase one for this room here. And this week, or last week, we had the air conditioner put in because it's pretty hot in there. It goes up to about 80 degrees with just what we have, and when we bring in new equipment, it's probably go up to about 95. So that was installed, and we're taking care of that. Kurt and I were at the high school a few weeks ago about
PCS.
PCS. For the, thank you for that. For the audio, hasn't been too good on the town meetings. We're looking about cabling it, but then my consultant said wireless, and we're doing a proof of concept right now with that at home, and then we'll bring it into the school, and I'll have you, Kurt, come in on that one. And we would have been live if we were in phase 4 or 3 of wireless cameras, but we just don't have that right now, and we can't do it with our present equipment. So we're waiting for the RFP so that we can get state-of-the-art, and then we can go wireless anywhere in town. And on that note, I've asked, the Cable Committee has asked Town Administrator Heather that we want all the people that have cable in town right now, the departments, to tell us what they're paying, because we're negotiating for a new contract, and we're trying to load it up as much as we can, because we're really going to probably fold like a cheap deck of cards, because we don't have a lot here to offer them, and subscriber base has dropped 188 in the last 5 years, which isn't bad at all. We're averaging about 20 a year, but I can see that piddling out somewhere down the future, 5, 6, 7 years. So that's where we are with that. We're also exploring a back-end upgrade for the Civic Plus, correct? Heather has taken that on to see what it is. I guess there's like 8 different stations to get something on there. Cable has funded that since the beginning, and we want to continue to do so. So we're just waiting to see what Heather comes up with and other people that use it, so that we can get a better back end, so it's a lot more intuitive than what it is right now. And if you need more information, Heather would let you know what that's about. So let's see, we're waiting for the town departments to come back on the cable, what they're using for boxes. I heard a rumor that there's 10 in this building, but only 4 are being used. Are we paying for all of them? We don't know, so we're trying to get that under our belt. The RFP, hopefully, it's in the works, in the queue, I'm told. Of course, that's been like, 8 months? You told me it's been in the queue, so we're there. Once that comes in, we'll really leapfrog a lot of people and a lot of the public access stations in the state with our new equipment. And the big news is that, and I have 89 for your list, but we're up to 91 on YouTube. We need 100 subscribers to stream live, Anita, and you could be 93. And once we do that, we can do stream living. That'll give you character generations and so on and so forth. We still will be able to stream on cable, but the future is really streaming sites. And our new equipment will be able to go on to Apple TVs, Fire TVs, Roku's, YouTube, and everything else in the works. And that's all I have for now. We're on the move.
Thanks, Nick.
All right.
Any questions?
Any
for Nick?
No, thank you.
Just
Okay.
Have a good
YouTube,
day.
like,
No?
and subscribe.
Any questions from the public? for Nick? No?
I would just maybe on the Paxton website on Facebook or something, put that website that you're looking to get that over 100 subscribers.
You know, we lost our media coordinator, so I was asking about Facebook tonight. I forget from
Yeah.
whom.
Because you'll get over 100 in no time flat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've talked to everyone, you know, I walk my dog, I talk to people there, I'm talking to turkeys for crying out loud. You know. John, I'm coming up to your house too.
Send me the link and I'll put it on Facebook.
WKX TV, that's it. You'll see it. And all the stuff that we've been doing here is going on there, so that's still in high def, whereas our cable is in SD, so if you want to look at it and see what the cameras are, or what you look like on the films here, take a look. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Nick. All right, next up, Anita, we have the Historical Commission.
Okay, the commission was created by law in 1972. The mission was to protect, preserve, and develop the historical assets of the town. But I think it's become another important part of our mission, and that is we're a resource. Over the years, we frequently get residents and non-residents, which it just happened a week ago, contact us with questions about the history of the town or their house or something. And fortunately, Richard has copied and scanned 18,000 files. So our database is very big, so we can find a lot of answers. And so we are there when people want to ask us questions. Now that we are resuming our open house, which is the second Saturday of the month from 9 to 10:30, it'll start on June 10th. People are more than welcome to come in, look at our artifacts. We have hundreds of artifacts. And if they have questions or if they want to give us something to scan they have or donate, we're there. So that's what I think is really important. We also have about 150 books in our library, and people are able to come and access them. If we have duplicates and they sign their name and promise to bring it back, they can take it out for a week or so. But we are a resource. Something that we are resuming also, we used to give tours, historical tours of the historic landscapes in town to the third graders. And I'd like to thank the third grade teachers, Deborah Lombard and Kara Baldock. They are so enthusiastic, and they get the kids really enthusiastic. So it's really fun. So we're going to be giving them a tour on the 21st of the Senior Center, our office, because they have a lot of artifacts that will teach them. Then we're going to go to the town common, and then we're going to do the one that they love the most, is the Center Cemetery, because they just think it's the greatest place on earth. And it's fun because what happened at one of our tours a couple of years ago, a lot of the headstones were broken. And children who see something broken say, who did that? Why didn't they fix it? And it was so wonderful. The cemetery commission was right on it because the kids wrote something to them and said, you know, we'd like to see something happen to replace them. And the cemetery commission, we're so grateful they did. And so the kids learned two things. Part of our purpose is making history fun for the young, because I really would like them to grow up not thinking history is boring. I never did because my father was a history enthusiast. So he took us to every battlefield in New Jersey, and I still like history anyway. So it's fun because the kids learn about history, but they actually got to see that if you see something that you're upset about and you tell someone in charge, it might make it better. So that lesson was twofold. History is fun, and as a community member, you can make a change. And I thought that was so great of the Cemetery Commission. So we were really happy about that. We have some upcoming events that are interesting. You may not realize this, but this year, Paxson Days falls on the 248th anniversary of the Battle of Bunker Hill. So, as we had said last year, June to us is Moore Month, Major Willard Moore Month, because as you all know, he sacrificed his life, told his men when he was wounded to leave because they were outnumbered and outgunned, and he is buried somewhere on Bunker Hill. So Richard and I are going to drive out there again, and I know there is a monument which supposedly is over the trench where many colonialists are buried. So we'd like to take some pictures and bring some things back. But we also will have the copy of John Trumbull's original painting, The Death of General Warren at the Battle of Bunker Hill, which also has an image, supposedly, of Willard Moore in there. And we're also going to have a raffle for the children to possibly win one of 2 miniature flags. Now, in Trumbull's painting, he has an image of a red flag with, in the left corner, a small New England pine tree. And he has it in his painting. We don't know if that was originally at the Battle of Bunker Hill, because he painted his painting. He was there, but he painting his paintings, 30 years later, so who's to say? And there also is a Continental Army flag. So we're going to have 2 of those available in miniature and let the kids learn about Bunker Hill and maybe put their name in and win a copy of one of these paintings. We also are going to have a copy there of the large metal sign that the commission purchased from a company in Ohio, who also did the other historical sign that's right across the street from the library. And that was purchased with money for the 250th anniversary. So we're going to have a copy of that, and Travis and the DPW will kindly erect the original one sometime in the fall. But once we can figure out the best place to put it. Also, we have on June 24th, we're all excited about this, we've hired a performer from the History at Play company, and she's going to be presenting the story of Deborah Sampson. I had never heard of Deborah Sampson. However, I had heard of Molly Pitcher, and I think most of you probably have. Molly Pitcher was the legend of a woman who would give water to the soldiers, Continental soldiers, as her husband worked the cannon. He was killed, she took over and helped fire the cannon. Now that is legend, but it is felt to be based on Mary McCauley, who at the Battle of Monmouth actually took over her husband's position and helped while he was wounded. She also helped nurse the soldiers at Valley Forge. So it's not unusual for a woman to have dressed, in her case, in Deborah Sampson's case, she dressed as a man. And they actually thought she was a soldier. And it wasn't until later, through her bravery and other antics, that they did discover she was a woman, and she was so brave that they gave her a full military pension, which was incredibly unusual back then. So we're really excited. On June 24th at 7 p.m., we will have her performer come to the Historical Commission, and we would love to have people come and hear it. It's called A Revolution of Her Own. And I think that's about all I have to say. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Anita?
Anita?
Yeah.
Anita, what time is the open house? on
The
June
open
10th?
houses are from 9 to 10:30,
Okay.
the second Saturday of the month, and it starts June 10th, and we'll carry it through probably to fall.
Okay.
And as I say, anyone's welcome. If you have a question, if you're just curious to see what we have in there, you don't have to be from Paxton. The door's open.
And the other thing is, have you ever thought about doing a cable program with Anita? Because she's got so much information, she's so interesting. I think it'd be great to...
She dresses like Molly Hatchet, we've done.
I'm sure she wouldn't ask her to.
I've seen her dress up before.
What did you say you want me to dress
I'm
up?
sure you have something in your closet.
Yeah, sure. I love going to give water to soldiers.
That's an excellent idea, you know, we're
Yeah.
always looking for
I know.
new things to.
And Anita's so passionate on what she knows.
I'm Italian, what can I
listening to
say?
Nina when she comes in.
Okay, no other questions, anyone? Okay, thank you, and thank you for the cemetery commission. You really,
Yes.
you taught those kids a lesson, and that is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita.
Anytime, you know, let us know. Not for you, but for anyone.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye, folks.
Nice to see you,
Bye.
Anita.
Thank you, Anita.
Hi, Anita.
Have a good evening.
All set, Nick? Yeah. All right, next up, we have Brian Brosnahan from the Cemetery Commission.
I don't like getting up after someone like Anita speaking.
She's a tough act to follow, I don't blame you.
Sure is. So I just wanted to start by thanking our outgoing cemetery commission person, Joanna McGagan. She did a great job with us, and we're sorry to see her go, but she's busy with the library as well. And she promised she's coming back. And then we're also happy to welcome Gordon Snyder, a neighbor of mine who's was unanimously voted in yesterday, so we're happy about that. So welcome to Gordon Snyder. So basically, you know, our job on the commission is to work very closely with Travis and the DPW, and really our main focus is the upkeep and maintenance of both Center Cemetery and Moreland. It's an ongoing battle with the trees that we have there. As Anita alluded to, our #1 focus is on the restoration of Center Cemetery. It's historic, it's beautiful, and it's so nice to see. I think, Chris, maybe half the stones that we're looking to do are third.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably about a third of it.
So we have the company coming back this year that was here last year, Historic Gravestone Restoration Services, to start the second round of reattaching stones, pouring new foundations and making them, you know, try to bring them back to the best condition as possible. We also just finished the completion of the reconstruction of the wall that someone drove through a couple of months ago. That looks great. That Mossy Rock Company did such a nice job, you can't even tell that it was it. Moreland Cemetery, ongoing, you know, busier than obviously Center, but we just basically spend our time approving stones and sizes to make sure that they fit within the parameters of what our restrictions are. We are working with Travis and the DPW on trying to get, there's at least 5 or 6 really bad trees that probably need to come down in that cemetery. And that's about it. Just mostly maintenance of those 2 cemeteries, and the big thing is the restoration project. Chris?
We've completed the 2 years already.
Oh, we're done. Oh, I got you. I thought we were doing one more.
No, it's got
All right.
two booklets there. Well, we've
That's
done,
it, we're out of money,
I
too.
think there was 40, I think there was 49 the first
Okay.
year, and 46 or so the second year.
Yep, thank you for that correction.
So almost 100 got done.
Yeah. And then the other thing we're trying to work on is, in both cemeteries, there are some shrubs that were planted probably decades ago that actually outgrow the stones. So one by one, we'd love to cut those, you know, different types of evergreens down and try to, so you can see the stones. But ongoing maintenance on both.
Well, we thank you for everything that you do.
You're-
Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Any questions?
Thank you for
You're
coming in.
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have 2 consent items. So I'll read them off as per usual. Number 1 is to approve the meeting minutes from the regular meeting held on April 26, 2023. And number 2 is a request from the Paxton Center School to use the town common for a school concert. Does anybody want to move either of these consent items later in the agenda for discussion?
No, just one really minor thing in the minutes. ARPA keeps getting changed, the letters around, so I think it's the 5th comment just cut and paste it. So I keep saying, typing it, that's all, but I've proven them right. That's
Okay.
all. I just should have told Donna earlier.
Word is, it has a nasty way of auto-correcting
Yeah.
things like that. Yep.
So moved.
Okay.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, we don't have, as long as there's no objections, we're good. All right, so those two things have been approved. Just a note on the center school use of the common, that was signed off by
Chiefs.
the chiefs as we require, so. All right, so under new business, I did have Heather ask town council to review the last meeting that we had, and town council suggested putting together a public comment policy. They had recently reviewed one out of Shrewsbury, and so what you have in front of you is essentially Shrewsbury's
Yeah.
public comment policy. My understanding is town council did want to actually make a couple of small changes to it, so this is a work in progress, is that correct?
They're just formatting changes, so his recommendation is if the board is good with this, they're welcome to move forward and approve it contingent upon his formatting edits.
Okay. Has everybody had an opportunity to review this to
Yeah.
the extent that they would like to?
Yeah, I did, and I'd like to put a little more thought around it before we make a motion.
Okay.
Well, I read the original Shrewsbury one, and I think it's almost the same as that. And the only comments I got was the formatting and changing the Board of Selectmen in
Oh.
I think 632 to Select Board, because it's all consistent.
Right.
Other than that, I thought it was fine.
You caught my copy and paste, didn't you? So yes, this is almost verbatim Shrewsbury's. It's
Yeah.
broken out into some different sections, and I did take out, I think, 2 or 3 more stringent pieces that I didn't think,
Applied to us.
yeah,
I noticed that.
so.
And while I agree that we should put something in place, and again, this is new to us because this is one of those things that came up and we didn't realize was gonna become an issue as far as time management for the board. So I'd just like to put a little more time and thought into it before we move on.
Okay, so do you want to make a motion to pass it over for now?
Yeah, I make a motion to pass it over for now.
Okay, is there a second?
Well, I was okay with it, but if Kurt wants to have a little bit more thought into it, then I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. All right, next on the agenda, we have the ARPA Committee formal dissolution. I thought we had accomplished this, but I'm not sure that we actually took a vote. So this is appearing again before you, so I would ask for a motion and a vote.
I'll make a motion to dissolve the ARPA committee.
Is that what we're doing? We've not done that before?
I thought we did it
I'm
before.
pretty sure we did.
Um,
But we can't find
But
it anywhere.
just in case, we'll do it again.
Okay,
Do I have a second?
Second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, next up, we have year-end transfers. There's a couple of them. We'll handle them one at a time.
So you should have these in the electronic document I sent out about 6:30. There's a hard copy on your desks with just the summary sheet as well, and I can probably pull it up.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have that, okay.
I have it on the,
And you have it on,
Yeah.
so, okay. As we know, this is the time of year that these things come up, after May 1st, so we do have a few transfers to look at and decide. So we have, the first one is a transfer from ACO compensation to central purchasing diesel in the amount of $7,976.85, essentially the entire ACO, remaining ACO compensation amount. Is there a motion?
You can Julie, you might
Can we
be
do
able to
them
do
all
them.
at once?
Yeah, all
Do
as
you think
one,
we
as
can
long
do them all
as
at
there's, as long as there's no objections to any of them. I don't see why you can't do a slate of them.
Okay, that works for me.
And just so, in case anyone wants to know, so the ACO, so the animal control officer, we didn't get rid of an animal control officer. This was when our current animal control officer at the beginning of the fiscal year had retired. and we ended up switching over to more of a intermunicipal agreement with the town of Rutland. So we were spending out of a different line, which was the purchase services line. But the way we had our budget last year is it was voted on every single line. So even though we had more money hanging out animal control officer options, we couldn't just transfer it into the line we needed. We had to go to the reserve fund to do a reserve piece in. So all this is taking the extra that is there to put towards something else that we need to be able to cover.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the year-end transfers on the summary sheet that you have?
I
Which
think we
is
need to say them all out. Or
showed-
the- I think, yeah.
You should probably read them.
I would say
but
that read them
yeah.
out because not everybody will be able to read that.
Okay.
I know I wouldn't be able to read it from the back.
So we have the amount that I just read. The next one is an amount of $1,238.86 from ACO Purchase Services to Central Purchasing Diesel. Then we have $175 from ACO Supplies to Central Purchasing Diesel. We have $2,000 from the Building Commissioner Compensation Account to Plumbing Inspector Compensation Account. We have $4,000 from Central Purchasing Telephone to Central Purchasing Heating Oil. $7,183.06 from MIS Compensation to MIS Purchase Services. $1,804.10 from MIS Encumbrance to MIS Purchase Services. And then $8,461.41 from Public Building Custodian to Public Building Purchased Services.
So I understand obviously what these things are, but I think some explanation should.
MIS,
Pardon?
of the MIS.
Well, it's the MIS, it's because we went from a salaried person to a company. So like I say, I don't understand it, but maybe,
Would you like me to explain the rest of them, Carol?
I know what the other ones are. Yes, and like the public building custodian, we didn't hire a custodian, we kept the cleaning company, didn't we?
Yep.
So
And we
we're-
have the money for next year's budget for a person for additional hours, right? So that it covers more buildings. So we were able to move money around for that. But yes, so that's what that piece is there. Building commissioner compensation, so we hired a new person, and we paid for the hours used, and we had extra money in that line, which was good, because our plumbing inspector compensation line's down to $385. So we're getting a little short on that. I did check that number with Cheryl, and she said she'd feel comfortable with 2,000. There'll still be leftover money at the end of the day in that line, but we just want to make sure we don't have to do it again in case we get a flood of permits and inspections for the last month and a half. And then you already hit the MIS, which is the IT line, compensation from the employee to the purchase services line.
Makes sense. Any questions?
No, like I say, I understood it, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody else did.
So the total of the transfers is $32,839.28.
That's correct. Yep.
So.
According to Excel.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So then these will go on to FinCom for their review, and they might have first time ones on their piece that you guys will get second time next time you meet.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, so the next three items are all about ratifying contracts for contracted employees in town. Heather is still working on these contracts, and so she is asking that we pass them over. However, I'm going to ask that we make a motion on each one so that I can appropriately recuse myself from the fire chief's contract. So is there a motion to pass over ratifying the town administrator's contract?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll let somebody else make a motion on the next one.
I'll make a motion to pass over the fire chief's contract.
second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
And I recuse myself. And then is there a motion to ratify the contract for the Director of Public Works, or pass it over?
Pass it, I was going to say,
Thank you.
pass it over. You were reading it, weren't you?
I was.
I was going to correct you.
I'll make a motion to pass over the DPW contract.
Only
Okay.
because it's not ready.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's not easy trying to do all these contracts and the budget at the same time.
Yeah, and get ready for a town meeting.
We should
Yep.
probably rethink that in the future.
Well, we did start it back in December, April, and February.
Okay, so, under old business, we have the warrant for the annual town meeting on June 5th, 2023. My understanding is that there has been some changes requested of the warrant articles that are presently on the warrant. So,
I'd make a motion to move over the signing of the warrant for the annual town meeting until the changes can be made, and
We need to discuss them.
yes.
that's fine.
Yeah, yep, so we, plus we're, we have a time limitations upon
Right,
us as
no,
well.
I understand that.
Yep. So, let me just see if I can pull up, I don't have the warrant sitting here in front of me. It is, oh, thank you, oh, look at that. Okay, so, the Capital Improvement Planning Committee had submit a revised final report. I'm not sure if everybody was able to review that or not, but essentially, they are no longer recommending the approval of the Mack truck, the dump truck. Mark, do you want to give us any background on that?
I sent you a draft of the revised CIPC committee report, and I think, and I apologize for the fact, an extensive 3-page email as to why. Wanted to get it to you in draft form tonight because we knew this was on the agenda. But tomorrow night, the CIPC is formally going to ratify that same conversation that you've just had right now. So it may not be appropriate for me to get ahead of that committee meeting. But the awkwardness is, we're meeting tomorrow night, you're meeting tonight, so we bit the bullet and sent out in draft form what we were thinking about, and I'm pretty confident it's going to be ratified tomorrow evening, which is to eliminate Article 1, as you have seen on the board before you this evening.
Okay.
That's unofficial, because the committee needs to vote. So my intuition is suggesting that it would be removed, but I defer to the formal vote of the committee to take place tomorrow night.
Okay. And do you have the rationale behind removing it?
Yeah, when we first put it forward, you'll recall that we asked for the articles, when they were written, to come back to us for us to make our recommendations. And if you see articles up there 1, 2, and 3, you'll see that we did recommend approval for item 2 and item 3. Item 1, we just revisited. We found that the dollar amount that had been submitted to us in terms of what the Proposition 2.5 override was going to be, we felt was expensive. Not for all, but for a lot. And we know that people are very sensitive about their taxes. So for us to embrace that and add to the already 2.5% increase in the taxes that they're going to see, we just didn't think that was a good decision at the time. Secondly, this would add additional debt. We looked at a debt service schedule and found that there would be debt coming off the books at either the end of fiscal '24, the beginning of '25. Maybe the time to add new debt would be a time when some existing debt is coming off the books. We also looked at the fact that we would have to have a special town meeting for this.
Election.
At a cost of $5,000 to $6,000. There's money in the budget to go out to financing for this particular item. That's $10,000 that we think might be the right year to avoid that particular cost and postpone it. And I think if you read carefully in our letter, we kept saying, at this time, at this time. I think we're foursquare behind the need for it, but this year didn't seem to be the right time. On top of which is 2 years ago, at town meeting and all the process that should have been followed, a Freightliner similar to this was approved, delivery of which has not taken place. And we're hoping it will take place sometime soon. So the thought was, if we didn't have voted for that 2 years ago and then said no to this, we might put the DPW in an untenable situation. But the fact that delivery could occur, I don't want to put words in Travis's mouth, maybe we all would have liked to have occurred 6 months ago, but hopefully it will occur in the next 6 months. The rates that we were quoted, not challenging the bond companies, but we were quoted rates for the new debt at 4 to 5%. That just didn't seem to be believable to the committee, given everything that's happening with rates in the Federal Reserve. So we basically said, maybe not this year, come back next year, it'll get first priority treatment next year, but we'd like to take it off the table right now. So it's not that we changed our mind as much as we had new information, we revisited old information, and we just thought the prudent thing, having put it forward, but asking for it to come back to us, was not to put it forward at the end of the day. And the only way to do that formally is to resubmit our report. Don't want to get technical, but if it's not in our report, technically it can't be a warrant article anyways. So we thought that that would be the best way for everybody involved to handle it. So, and I think if you read it, it was carefully worded, well-intended, not argumentative, not trying to draw a line in the sand. We just didn't think this was the right time, the right year, the right place to do it.
Okay.
So
All right, so.
I just read the entire 4-page email, I think, in that recap, so.
Well,
If
you
you
know,
haven't had a chance to read it, you don't have to now.
the people watching from home appreciate that,
Yeah.
I'm sure. All right, so can you put the article back up? There we go. So there it is.
Could we get some input from Travis on this?
Julia?
We certainly can, yeah. Would you like to ask him to come
Yeah,
up?
I would. Travis, what are your thoughts on
You wanna
this?
come up?
Are we gonna be able to maintain and, you know, put Band-Aids on what we have to make this all work?
As for the truck not being replaced, is that what you're getting at?
Well, yeah, and when is the one we have on order gonna be here?
So my latest update on the truck that we have outstanding that we're waiting for should be here within the next month or two.
Okay.
It's currently at MHQ getting outfitted. They were still waiting on some parts to finish outfitting it.
But that's replacing a different,
That is replacing a different vehicle. I believe that was an '04 or an '06 Mack.
and how long have you been waiting for this vehicle, Travis?
Been roughly 2 years.
Okay.
You know, unfortunately, with all the mess that happened with COVID, you know, the computer chips that these companies were, everything was on back order. And that just snowballed throughout the industry. You know, same thing with we're waiting for a water vehicle, a pickup truck for the water department as well. That's waiting, going on 2 years now as well. The truck that's gonna get passed over, we'll make do with whatever we have. Certainly, it would be beneficial to the department and the town and all of its residents if it wasn't getting passed over. The truck itself that we were looking to replace needs a lot of attention, needs a lot of work. We're gonna do everything we can to keep it going throughout the next winter season. And hopefully, next year when we go before Capitol and the Select Board, it'll get approved at that time.
But if we go forth with it now, we might not see it for another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, so even the truck that we were quoted for was quoted a 2025. So they were telling us to expect a 1.5 year wait.
Okay.
So
So that's-
again, the truck that we're looking to replace, in order to get it where there'd be no issues whatsoever, we'd be looking to spend around $40,000. This is a 1989 dump truck. I can't justify putting that kind of money into a truck of that age.
Do you have it in the budget to put into it?
No.
So you won't be able to anyway?
No. So we'll do whatever we can to keep it limping along as long as we can.
And then take it out of service.
Yeah, if we have to take it out of service, we'll take it out of service.
If you take it out of service, how's it gonna affect plowing?
It's going to affect. That's one of the major trucks that we use on a regular basis throughout town. That particular truck does half of Grove Street, all the roads off of Grove Street, Burton Mar Circle, Crowning Shield. It gets used in every storm that we're out. Every plowing event, every sanding event. We're gonna make do with whatever we have.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
no, it's not the answer I wanted to hear either, probably not what you folks want to hear, but I also understand that there's the need to hold off on it at this moment, so we'll do whatever we can to keep this particular truck up and running until we can.
And how old are the vehicles that you're replacing?
The one that we were looking to replace was a
Yep.
1989. It's the oldest truck we had left in the fleet. The frame, it's a double frame, so over the 35 years the truck has been in service, salt gets in between the frame's now starting to split. There's a lot more work besides that, but structurally, that's the big thing. So we're trying to keep an eye on it the best we can, maintaining it the best we can. We'll do whatever we can.
I know you will.
So,
Yep.
You always do.
Right.
But next year, if you come before the capital, which you would be, you'll be competing with other projects.
yes, I'm aware of that. We'll do whatever we can to keep moving forward. And hopefully, if we do have to take the truck out of service, it doesn't add a lot of time in those emergency situations. You know, the issue we have is where it's one of our 3 or 4 main trucks out that has a wing plow on it, gives us the ability to clean the roads, not just, in a single pass, as opposed to making 2 or 3 passes down the road. If we remove that truck out of service and I have to put a 1-ton dump truck out there to do that, I'm now making 2, 3, on a road like Crowning Shield or Lincoln Circle, we may have to make 4 passes. It adds a lot of time.
Yep.
Can't haul the same type of material, the same quantities of salt or sand if needed. So we're using more fuel, we're running back and forth to get more material more often. There's a lot that goes into it.
You're putting more wear on that particular
Yeah.
piece of
so
equipment.
We'll make do with whatever we have to, so. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you for your input.
Thanks, Travis.
Any further questions?
I appreciate
No, I've
it.
just got one for Heather afterwards.
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Heather, the debt schedule that you supplied to the CIPC committee, did that come from the treasurer, collector?
Actually, I didn't supply it, Mark had it.
Did it come from the collector?
Excuse me?
Yeah, I believe it's the collector's version, yeah.
So it came from the collector, that debt schedule? Sorry, I think I'm getting, no, I mean the debt schedule for the new truck.
Oh, yes, yes,
I don't
yes.
mean
She
the-
got,
the-
I'm sorry, you
Yeah,
had
I
me
said that wrong.
confused.
I know
I
what I'm
thought you
saying.
meant what was wearing off.
No,
Yes,
I know.
so I did get the debt schedule for the 3-year 4% and the 5-year 5% from Donna Kuchar. She had obtained
Yep.
them from bond counsel.
Yep.
And our financial advisors.
Okay, and 3 or 4 years was the maximum we could go?
No, so Donna's recommendation was either 3 or 5. She wouldn't go more than that.
Okay,
But she did mention that, sometimes she's had trouble just going out to bond in the past and hasn't received any bids if it was under 3 or 5 years because it's such a small amount of debt for a company who's bidding, not
Yep.
for us. It's a lot
Yeah.
for us, but, for trying to get someone to finance it, it's not a lot. So a lot of times they want a longer period of time.
that's what I was thinking.
Because they're getting a pinch on the interest.
Yeah, and I know that you explained the process at the CIPC meeting.
Yeah.
But the reason it is a little bit lower than regular rates is because it was out for bid. And we usually get 1 or 2 banks that bid on it. So I think if bond counsel is saying those rates, I think that's what we should use for our calculations.
Yeah, and we did use those for the
I know, I'm not saying
calculations,
that,
and
I'm
that's what CIPC had, but I think regardless of those pieces of information, even with those lower numbers, when you broke it down, I think the consensus of the CIPC as a body was that that was still a lot to
Yeah.
chew for folks right now.
I
Yeah,
understand that.
I would want us to be particularly careful tonight. I'm a full advocate of thorough, transparent discussion and disclosure, but I would not want to have a CIPC meeting this evening at the Select Board meeting.
I'm just saying.
You're
I'm
you're the
transparent.
Absolutely.
liaison to that particular committee, and you didn't show up to one meeting.
One?
So now is, yeah, one out of 9.
I've
So
watched
now
them
is
all.
not the time for you to show your position. You can come to our particular meeting
coming
tomorrow
tomorrow.
night and do that same thing.
I will.
So I appreciate not trying to embarrass the
I'm not
CIPC
embarrassing,
committee.
I'm just trying to bring
No,
all the
we're just-
information
We're
here.
just trying to get information, Mark,
Because
that's all.
Because both other members
Okay.
probably haven't watched the CIPC meetings. I have, and I'm sorry, I missed one because I was on vacation in Florida. I missed one
Carol,
because I had
you don't need to
COVID.
explain to me.
I want to explain.
You don't need to
I
explain.
want to explain.
You-
And then one because I chose not to come to it.
You don't need to explain.
And I don't appreciate my name being mentioned when I'm not there, like it was at the last meeting.
Well, you're the liaison.
And I only need to go to one meeting, and I've been to one meeting. So,
Carol, come to the
Mark,
meeting tomorrow night.
I'm going to come tomorrow night.
Come to the meeting tomorrow night.
And the other thing is, I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to say it. I find it amusing that you're amending the report when you wouldn't amend it last year.
Well,
And
that's an
forced us to go
interesting
to a
point.
special town meeting.
Last year, you wanted us to amend it, and you were
Yes, I
upset
did.
that we didn't.
Yep.
This year, we are amending
Yeah.
it, and you're challenging us
I'm not
that
challenging you, I'm just
that
saying
we
I'm
are. So
amused
which
by it.
way would you like it?
You can do whatever you want now. I'm not on the CIPC.
The
But
bylaws
I'm just-
state, if it's not in our report, it cannot be an article.
Yes, I know. And I
That-
tried to
that
get you
should end the
to change it
conversation
last
right
year,
there.
and you didn't. And the reason I'm bringing it up now is because every CIPC meeting you bring it up. So I wanted to say that. And I'm allowed to say that.
Well, we're allowed to say that if the opera money wasn't fully
You said it.
used, we wouldn't have this particular conversation.
It wasn't.
We'd have the
it wasn't
money to
Phil-
put
This never
forward.
came to ARPA. So, and I had that conversation as well.
Wow.
So, I will be there tomorrow, and I'm sure I'll get bad mouth again tomorrow, but I'll still go. So, I've said
Carol,
my
that's a
piece
group
now.
of professional people, none of whom badmouth anybody.
You- oh
So,
my
once
goodness.
again, I'd be careful of dissing the committee.
I'm not, I have respect for the CIPC, I just don't have respect for your performance last year. Okay? You've been saying it for the last year about me, so I'm saying it this year now. Okay? End of chat.
It can't be the end of the conversation. You can't drop it like that. You
So-
can't
I
say
said
what
my
you want to
piece.
say and drop it, which has been the tendency of this particular committee
I
for
know
a year
that.
and a half.
Yeah.
Come to the CIPC committee meeting.
I will.
That's where these things are discussed.
And like I say, I have every respect for the members of that CIPC committee.
Okay.
And I appreciate them supporting me, one or two. But I also didn't like the fact that we see this amended so quickly after your meeting, but you wouldn't amend it last year for me, and it forced it a special town meeting.
Well,
And I really enjoyed when the superintendent came to the CIPC meeting and thanked whoever put forth that security camera
this is not the
article.
place to
I
have
know
a
it's not the place.
CIPC
Where is the place then?
discussion.
Because you bring things up when you want to, so I'm bringing it up now. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
The mention,
to-
if I could have a minute, Julia, the mention that was put to a vote last CIPC meeting, I'd remind you that it was unanimous by all committee members,
Okay.
which is not to blame the CIPC committee for not having any funds available for this particular article right now, because had things been done differently, we would have the money for that particular article right now. That's our position,
And
and it's held by a lot of people outside of the CIPC committee.
good. Because the town administrator said that that wasn't the case at the meeting. So, moving on,
Moving on.
if you don't mind,
Yep.
Chair.
Is there a motion with regard to warrant Article 1?
In what regard?
Would we like to keep it on the warrant, or
Well,
would
we
we
have
like
to,
to
because
take
we
it
haven't
off?
got on the agenda to open and close the warrant.
Okay.
I think you're well within the rights of the agenda
I'd
to
rather not.
open the warrant.
If it's not on the agenda to open and close the warrant, I would not like to do that.
But-
Okay. Just to make sure you guys know, I think you're absolutely within your rights to be able to open it, even though it doesn't say open the warrant. You guys are signing and discussing the annual town meeting warrants, like going into annual town meeting with an article, you're within the four corners.
Have you asked the town clerk ever?
I am more than happy to make
No, I
a
mean, it's
call
not
to
late.
legal counsel right now if you guys want to make sure that you have the jurisdiction to do this. This is just a very important document, and we're on a timeline.
Oh, I
and
realize that.
I really want to make sure we're moving forward with this, so, but it's, again, it's your warrant, right? So you can always open the warrant, amend the warrant to however you want, and move forward. It's within your jurisdiction.
I'd rather have that told us that we could do that from either legal or town clerk, because in the past, we've always had it on the agenda. Have we not?
We have, you're right.
Well, I'm comfortable moving forward the removal of Article 1
Okay.
You can,
We would have to make a
Based
motion
on-
to open the warrant first.
based on the notion that we'd have to open the warrant and close
Yeah.
it, pending town council's approval that we can do that. Because I don't want to put articles on the agenda for capital improvement, send
the
them to the
warrant.
town.
Yeah.
And then the capital improvement committee recommend non-approval. That doesn't make any sense. It's too confusing.
but
It's way too confusing.
they're going to recommend take no action.
Well, even take no action, that doesn't make sense. This is a capital issue.
Well, I'm okay
So-
with opening and closing the warrant if we get town council's approval on that. And if not, then, and town clerks.
Well, I think you only need legal. I don't think you need legal and town clerk.
All
I
right,
think
whatever.
legal would trump town clerk.
Well, I don't know if she has to put any reports in as for things on her side when she does the,
I mean, I
After-
just want the town warrant to be as concise and as unified as possible.
So I just sent a message
We
to
sent
Brian.
way too much
We'll see if I can
confusion
get a
in the
response
past.
back. I don't know
Okay.
if you guys want to move on with
Let's
the
table it.
conversations, and
Yep.
then hopefully we'll hear back shortly.
So
Yeah.
I make a motion to move over this and come back and if we hear from town council.
Yep, that's fine. Okay. So I don't think we even need a motion, we'll just
Okay,
move
come
on
back
with
to
the
it.
agenda.
Whatever.
Okay? All right.
Still in my training wheels.
So we're going to skip over the second one as well because the two kind of go together. I'm going to move on to select board correspondence. I did have one thing in
Oh, you
here.
didn't want to discuss the
sorry.
rest of the warrant? I'm sorry. Did you want to discuss the rest of the warrant changes, or you want to wait and see what the answer is on the first one? Because either way, you guys are going to eventually have to discuss the rest of the warrant changes.
yeah, and the rest of the warrant changes, I don't think have anything to do with Article 1. Oh, they do, they do,
They do.
So-
Two
so
of them
you're
do,
right.
one doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how about I just present real quick and everyone has the information while it's topical, and then, is that okay?
Sure, that's fine.
Sure.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So, Mark had mentioned this previously, so if Article 1 ends up coming off, and you guys have this in your notes from a little bit earlier tonight, if Article 1 comes off, then we would want to hop over to Article 15, which is the budget, and we'd want to amend a couple numbers, right? We would want to reduce the town elections line accordingly, to move that line down in the amount, removing the cost for what it would be for a special election. So that would go from 24,242 on line 1162 to 18,279. And likewise, we'd want to reduce 1709, the debt borrowing costs number from 4,000 to 0, because we wouldn't need the debt borrowing at all. Going back to that article, and I know I'm just rambling numbers, you guys do have this in front of you. We would be changing the numbers in this article, and it would go from 6,681,662, with the total number of 7,646,173. And that would be Article 15, that would be affected. So in essence, if you skip over Article 1, you want to go back and you want to reduce the budget by $9,963, because we don't want to take anything more than operating stabilization than we have to, and we wouldn't have the town clerk, or the election additional piece, and we also wouldn't have the money for the debt borrowing cost. Likewise, we'd go on to Article 16, and we would do a similar adjustment, because Article 16 is for the school, and in the school is where we show the operating stabilization fund. So that number would reduce from 102,442 by, again, the 9,963 down to $52,479, and adjust that first number to $7,384,980. So those adjustments would happen as a result of number one, if you guys remove it. If you don't remove Article 1, but you want to wait and see what happens at town meeting, and town meeting passes over it or votes no, then we would have these same numbers ready to go and motions on the floor. So that's always the possibility. The other article in here, so I did send you guys, I think, a note about this last week. So the bylaw article number 9, so in further conversations with legal counsel, he suggested we wait on this and have further conversations with him and DOR about making sure we're looking at the language for the departmental revolving fund to make sure we can do what I'm hoping to try to do. So not tackle that at this time. And if you remove that article, you therefore in Article 10, remove electrical and plumbing gas inspector line, because those are related to Article 9. And the only other comment here is to reduce the library number down to 2,000, because they've never gone higher than that in the past 5+ years. So we don't need as high of a number. And those are the only changes I had in the warrant.
Okay. So we're going to wait to hear from town council with regard to opening the warrant in tonight's meeting in order to make those changes. All right. So if I move
sorry.
on.
Thanks, Travis. I've got a few, well, because we've got time,
Yep.
I've got a few comments I'd like to make. We're looking for, it sounds like you're going to be changing the budget anyway, the numbers.
Theoretically speak, we're only changing the budget numbers in the event you change Article 1. If Article 1 goes away, you're going to want to change those numbers. If you leave Article 1, we're still going to have to be prepared to change those numbers on town meeting floor. Honestly, I prefer to change it now than on town meeting floor, but I'm selfish on that, right, and trying to anticipate what's happening.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and it is a lot cleaner if it's not in there. Like I say, I'm not trying to be awkward, I just don't want to do something what isn't on the agenda, that's all.
We'll also keep in mind that you always have within the corners of the law, any other matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair, right? So when Julia put this agenda together last week, if she didn't anticipate opening the warrant, she just anticipated signing it.
But we could have amended it.
So, but if she didn't anticipate doing that, she didn't know about it, it's within the corners. It's not that there's no notice that there's the annual town meeting warrants on this. People have notice. Anyone who's here, and I think we have 2 folks at least who are here, who have an interest in the annual town meeting, got notice and they're here.
I did ask the question at the time, if it's okay to make the changes to the warrant, based on what we had on the agenda. But I did not specifically request town council approval, so.
I'm gonna step out and try to call. Do you have anything else for me on that before I do so?
Yeah, just got a couple of
Sure.
changes. One of the things that came up at finance, and I supported it, I was against it at the time, but the select board get a committee compensation if we're of 6,114. I personally said at the finance meeting that I wouldn't take it next year, to reduce the amount having to be taken out of stabilisation. Do you want to get rid of that compensation? It's up to you entirely. Like I said, I commented, I don't know if anybody heard me at finance because I'm usually a bit quiet, but I'm not going to take that amount anyway next year, even though it's in the budget. So if you two want to keep your share, that's fine, but if you don't, then we can reduce the amount coming out of our stabilisation by 6,114.
I've always said that this is really a volunteer job. The compensation that's in there is wonderful, but it doesn't come close to touching the amount of effort and time that it takes to do this. So I am happy to do whatever you guys want to do with regard to that.
I'll make a motion to forfeit the select board line item for this next fiscal year to reduce our overall debt or whatever.
Requirements from stabilization.
Requirements for stabilization.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Could that be repeated, please?
Yeah, basically, we just forfeited our salaries for the next year for the board
Good.
back to stabilization.
To reduce the amount taken out of stabilization.
Right.
And then just a few other little minor things. Bear with me, because I did some notes. Article 12, it's the liquor revision. I believe that was from the Board of Selectmen, not the Town Administrator.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
So can you just, because I know it was something we discussed previously. And then Heather, just the town budget table, could we have the names of the boards, committees, so forth, fully written out rather than COA, ACO, things like that?
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
I think it looks better. And the headings, all the headings, it's only formatting, all the headings, same format, and there's a misspelling on the recommend.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all, it's just minor, I just hadn't a chance to tell you about it, but while we've got a bit of time. And then the other thing, can I have my middle initial on the signature page? Sure. It's L. That's all, like I said, just minor.
Change mine from Jack Malone to
It's
Kirk
been
Holtz.
changed.
You have the right name on it.
I'm just
All right.
kidding.
Is there anything else on the warrant
No.
before I step out and try to get a human on the phone?
Do we need to take like a 2-minute to try to get him on the phone?
No, I would guess it's more likely that I'm not going to get him on the phone than I am.
A quick bio break.
Since I sent a text and didn't get a response, and usually that's my best way. I'm assuming he might be not working. It's always possible, but I can definitely at least get Lori. Otherwise, I mean, if there's changes that you guys want to see, worst case scenario, we can always do a Zoom meeting on probably Friday at this point.
Today's Tuesday.
Don't know when was you planning on getting that to the printer?
By probably Thursday, I think was my goal. Because FinCom meets tomorrow night, and I have to have time to update the.
Today is
book.
Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna go make those calls. I'll be back.
Okay. Well, I think in the meantime, we can at least do the correspondence, because
Oh,
I
you
do
said
have
yes.
one
Yeah, please,
item
please.
for correspondence, and I think it's a lovely item.
Oh, nice.
So that's always good. So you'll notice on the Snack Shack that there is a new AED station that is there.
No.
If you are down there. It is a yellow cabinet. It is an all-weather tamper-resistant cabinet for the AED, and actually, with any luck, we'll have it hooked up so that it will be powered as well. That power will provide light and actually heat to the unit for the winter months, so that there will be an AED available there year-round. It is in the center of town at our center field, so it is fully accessible for athletics, for any town events that are happening down there, such as our concerts and whatnot, Paxton Days, anything that we're holding down there. There's now an AED that's available for public use. You'll notice that there is a code access on it. That is only a backup. The way to access this device is by calling 911, at which point the dispatcher will give you the code to punch in to open it up and be able to access the device.
Awesome.
It says that right on the cabinet itself, so that it is very clear for anybody who might need it. And part of the benefit of that as well is that when you call 911, then they know, of course, to send the
And they've
ambulance
got
as
your
well.
GPS
So
location and everything
it's
else.
covering you to all your bases
That's
also
fantastic.
with one phone call. So Recreation funded this for us.
Thank you, Recreation.
So that was wonderful, and I wanted to make sure that Recreation got the recognition for that, because I think this is an amazing initiative. And they are also talking about potentially considering expanding this to other areas of town as well. It's near and dear to my heart, and I think it's fantastic. So
Awesome.
thank you to Recreation for this. And those cabinets aren't cheap, by the way. So, but it is going to ensure year-round access to a defib in
Should
the center of
contact
town.
Ralph Thibodeau and let me know.
Right?
He'll be very pleased to hear
Yes.
that.
So I thought that was wonderful, and I just wanted to make sure that we gave credit where it was due to recreation on that front. Okay, I now have a public comment session. Is there any public comment? I see none, so I'm going to move on. The town administrator's report. Okay, so we really have nothing else we can do until we hear back from Heather, so I'm going to suggest that we take a brief recess.
How about 2 minutes?
2 minutes? Sound good? Okay. And I'll ask Scott. Ooh, my ankle. Ooh. So I'm going to go back to our annual town meeting warrant. I'm going to suggest that we go ahead and repost a meeting. We've had some discussion tonight, so everybody is fully aware of what the issues are. But before we take action, I would like to go ahead and have this reposted, which will be happening tomorrow morning. And then we will have a very quick meeting on Friday. We can handle that by Zoom for everybody's convenience in order to hold a vote and just make sure that everything is appropriate. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Like I said, I'm not trying to be awkward, I just don't want anything to come back on us.
Yep, no,
So did we hear anything from town council?
Yep, I spoke to town council and to Lori.
And what was the outcome?
So Lori's initial answer, she actually amended her answer.
oh, she
But-
did.
Her initial answer was that she recommended reposting. Her amended answer was she spoke to her husband, who used to be on the select board, and thought that we did not need to actually open the warrant to take things off of it. And I talked to legal counsel, and legal counsel said that, when we got the drafted, amended, draft amendment, is that what we'll call that? CIPC, draft amendment, CIPC?
Report in draft form.
Sometime within the last 48 hours today, that was within the 48-hour window. So that would be within the period of time that would be acceptable to make those
Not reasonably
changes or reactions as a result of it and not have it directly on the agenda. That being said, to be clean, I mean, if we can do a quick Zoom on Friday morning and get that piece done, and then I guess I will get whatever we need to get to the printer on Friday, because Ms. Donna is taking a vacation day.
Oh, well deserved.
Well, okay, but that, yeah, okay, that's fine.
So we can do that. I just need
That's
to
okay with
know.
Donna, because Donna's the one who has to do all the work on this.
So I just need to know in final form here what the direction is going to be from the select board, so I can approve one final warrant.
What are you asking?
I'm asking if the leaning is to remove Article
Just
One,
what
because
did
if
you
you
gonna
remove
say?
Article One, I need to go edit the other pieces, right?
Right.
So if we're gonna do this on Friday, the amount of time I have between your meeting and getting this in final form is less. So if there's
Yeah.
leanings, it would be helpful. I mean, otherwise I can just have this as is and a second version ready to go.
So I think that's the safe thing to do.
Okay.
I don't think we should be voting. And also, you've wanted to remove the bylaw as well.
Yeah, I mean, we could have
So-
passed over that, I would be fine, but I can do that, yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so moving on, we have the,
Question?
oh, sorry.
Just
Are you available Friday?
real quick question, Jeremy Richard, 8 Birch Road. This is coming from a finance committee. We've got a vote tomorrow night on all of our warrant options, so we'll just do it as it's written, and then what gets removed. Since nothing will be added, we can still, budget should not go up, should only go down if there's removals.
I can give you a draft of the other version, then you guys can approve
Awesome,
theoretically
okay.
both of them.
Because again, if we wouldn't be able to swoop in and do a Zoom on Friday after you did and still had to get to the printer, so.
Right.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
perfect, thank you.
That's a valid question. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Okay. We're good on that piece. Everybody's good? We're all good. Okay. So, next up is the town administrator's report.
Okay, so not too much new stuff here. So Kids Summer Program, if you haven't signed up and your kids are age 4 through 6th grade, you're gonna wanna check out the town's website, move forward on that. Fiber informational meeting, there's probably a better title for that, but that's the best I could come up with, putting it in my report here. So Paxton Municipal Light Board will be hosting their informational meeting next Tuesday on May 16th here in this room. It will be televised, it will be linked to Zoom, so if you're at home and you want to know what is going on, and is there a possibility that there might be fiber in town, and it might be done by the Paxton Municipal Light Plant, then that's the meeting you're going to want to tune into, and they have their consultant do a presentation. They'll be doing a Q&A at the very end of it. It'll be hosted by the Light Board and the town, the Municipal Light Manager, so they will be here. It's pretty exciting. We actually did a run-through today with the smart board and Zoom and made sure it all works, so it is pretty exciting. We'll see how that goes. Memorial Day, that's still up and coming, so if you haven't checked out the details on that, check that out online. Paxton Days and Summer Jam, again, June 17th, put it in your calendars, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's going to be very fun, lots of things going on. Historical Commission, I will add them to my report. Townwide yard sale from 8 to 2 on May 20th. Departmental updates, building department, good news, we're up. 15 building permits alone, 29 total for the entire department in April. That's a lot better than the month before when I think it was a total of 12 for everything and I think like 3. So you're seeing, if you look at the chart, you're seeing the numbers kind of fluctuate a little bit. I'll probably switch over charts at some point to make it a little more easy to see the trend, but that's good that the numbers are starting to pick up. And we do have, windows, door replacements. We did have 1 for new construction, so that's exciting when that happens. It would be better if there was more than 1, but there's 1, so that's good news. Cable access, as Nick was here earlier, he did mention apparently he's picked up another subscriber on his way home. So we're now up to 92 subscribers. We only need 8 more to go, and then anyone at home who's traveling on vacation or wants to go to a friend's house out of town to watch our meetings, you'll be able to stream live on YouTube. It'll be very exciting. Cable Access Committee has installed an AC in Scott's room now, so if you notice the doors can be shut because we won't overheat Scott, so that's always an exciting thing. DPW, a couple updates there, RAP funding. So remember earlier in 2022, this board voted to move forward with the Winter Recovery Act program, the additional state funding that was tacked on to the Chapter 90 program for the drainage around the common. Travis and I had spoke a couple weeks ago. He drew up some draft documents. Unfortunately, none of the contractors thought this would be something they'd be able to pull off in the next month and a half, and we don't want to lose out on the funding. So he did contact Chapter 90, and they will cover the drainage, and we're going to use the RAP funding on the Forestdale neighborhood, so we can make sure we use that money before the end of this fiscal year, and we don't lose it. We're just going to be moving that project to Chapter 90 money next year. So it's all essentially from the same source. We're just flipping it over a little bit further out, but we will get that project done. Paving projects, so starting, I believe, tomorrow, we have Forestdale, Glen Ellen, and Orchard that will all get reclaimed. They're hoping to have that finished by mid-June. We'll see how that goes. That's what they're starting with, and then if they have additional funds after that, they'll look at additional projects. And I'm working with Tiffany to get documents out to bid for the FY24 season. EDC, Economic Development Committee, met in April. They had a very productive meeting. They came up with a letter and a survey to send to the business community. We have that ready to go probably in the next day or so with our mail merge. Survey also has a QR code. We're hoping to give people just about a week to do it. That's usually enough time. It's like a 4-question survey. It's pretty quick. And they're hoping that that's just the first of several surveys, and they're starting with the business community and then working with the residents next.
Where did they get their information? Like, what source did they use for identifying businesses in town?
Yes. No, seriously, the answer is yes, everything they could. We used the list we had in town, right? So any permits.
Business licenses.
Any business licenses. We used the Chambers directory. We use Google, the Google drop pins. I'm not.
Yep.
So like anything we could find. Okay. Savas, I think, put a post on Facebook to reach out to people as well. So we really tried to collect as much as possible. And Don, do you remember the total number? It's 100 and something.
That's a good number.
So now the question always becomes how many are still in business? How many are still in Paxton? Like things could change, and hopefully we'll get there eventually to be able to update those numbers.
Okay.
Well, if that number's 100, it's probably more like 120 or 130, because there's a lot of people that have LLCs that don't necessarily operate in the storefront type of business.
Right. Oh, of course. Yeah, right. But those would have business licenses at the town clerk's office, so that would capture that.
Okay. All right, IT, so things have been pretty consistent. We've had a couple phone pieces that we've been able to work through. Good news is TPX, which is our phone provider, has been pretty awesome with their customer service. More and more people are hopping on the application on your computer called WebEx. What that Julia's laughing. What that allows is us to essentially take the phone wherever we go, right? So I could be at a meeting over here and my phone rings because someone's trying to ring me at the desk and my computer rings instead. And I'm able to grab the call. There's other features to it as well, but the nicest thing is, if people have to work remote or work from home or whatever it is, they can use their computer as their phone as if they're right at their desk. All features, transfers, everything is exactly the same. Town clerk annual town election was held on May 8th and had a turnout of 10.8% of registered voters. 383 residents voted, 353 in person on the day of the election. Official results of the election can also be found on my link if you're curious and did not grab it off the front page. Only grant update right now is the state earmark of funds. The unofficial working group that we have will be meeting next week with CMRPC to get the zoning bylaw rewrite project up and running. So we have our launch meeting next week to go over expectations and what we're looking for with CMRPC. Security cameras, Paxton Center School, so everything was substantially installed during school vacation week. They had training scheduled, and they just have to wrap those pieces up, and they were hoping to have it all up and running by the end of the month. Trash collection, that's all complete. Pellegrino was notified. They're so excited to continue with us for the next couple of years. And Tiverton Field Lights, we have a meeting early next week. Myself, Jeff, Kathy, Tara from Municipal Light Manager, and Tim, the foreman from the light, to talk about the project and what the next steps are. So we are meeting, I don't know what specific day next week. Jeff got back to me, and Kathy had finished working for the day. So tomorrow when she's worked, she'll let me know, and we'll get it scheduled.
Okay.
And then we have the cable access software that Nick had referenced. The records building, we still need to fix the fence. Security cameras, the school's done. The RAP funding around town common. And then the well pump for recreation. So never-ending procurement projects. That's all I have in my report.
That's
Any
it.
questions?
Any questions for Heather? No.
No.
Okay.
All right. Oops. Oh boy, I've got way too many things open. All right. So the only other thing we have left on our agenda is our executive session. We will be entering into executive session in order to conduct strategy with respect to the collective bargaining with the police union pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21-3, which again, I should have announced. Can we make a change? If there's
You're
going
also
to
not
be.
required to do it, so you don't have to say at the beginning of the meeting, you're going into executive session, you put it on your agenda. So if it makes you happy, Julia, we can make a note up there when it happens,
At the
but you're
top?
not required legally to do it.
Okay.
I've always done it.
That's always the way we've handled it. If you don't mind, if we have an executive session, just
Bold it.
throw something at the top of the agenda so I see it before we get to
Alright.
it.
It's
Number one,
orange.
we will be opening the meeting, or closing the meeting to
Please,
open it for
thank you.
executive session, opening only to close.
Okay, so this is a roll call vote.
Can I just say something
Um,
before?
absolutely,
before? I was going to say it earlier, but I just want to say thank you to everybody that's contacted me since the last meeting and provided all this support and encouragement, because it was really a low point in my career last meeting, and it's refreshing to know that it's not all one-sided. And I wanted to say earlier when someone else was present, but I just want to thank people that come up to me and thanked me and so forth. So, because it wasn't a pleasant meeting. So,
It was not, I agree.
so, but not everybody's of the same opinion. So, that was refreshing to know.
Can I make one comment,
you-
since we're just
absolutely.
making comments? I just want to thank Bill Trotter for running a nice, clean campaign. It was just a very clean, democratic process. He and I had a nice conversation on my way into vote yesterday and at the end of the evening. And I wish it could just always be that way. And I want to thank him for stepping up. And what we need in this town is more people to step up and become involved in the process. every board is tired. We, you know, I don't know how many openings we have on how many boards, but it's unbelievable.
I think you're gonna.
And so, you know, if you want to have an opinion, then show up and have a voice, you know? But I just wanted to personally thank him for running a good campaign, and, you know, hope that he considers another position on another board, if he has time for it. So, thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
I agree. I think it's, I mean, I've got openings on several committees, and I think we're going to find there's going to be more openings in the near future. So, as I said tonight, I respect all the CIP members and all members that volunteer. I mean, we've had 3 of our committees up tonight, and it's great to know that they're working hard for the town, unpaid. I think people
Right.
forget that. So.
Yep.
And we won't always agree, and we can agree to disagree, but it doesn't mean we have to be discivil in the process.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah.
I want to congratulate you for actually winning the election. So,
you.
congratulations.
He's back.
I'm back.
All right. So I thank you both.
So you wanted a roll call?
So we need a motion to move into executive session and return to regular session only to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second?
And roll call vote. All in favor, how do you vote? Kirk?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. So at this point, we will move into executive session. We'll give a minute.